I spent some time yesterday streaming Bioshock Infinite, the game of the year 2013. And spoiler alert to anybody who's actually watched the stream, I hated it. Like, I straight up deleted it on stream. I have no intention of playing it again. It is the worst. I was honestly really kind of surprised with how much I hated it, because okay, people are railing on it. Oh, well, I'm not really surprised. I knew I was going to hate it going into it, but it was one of those situations, right, where you could watch the stream and see how I reacted. It was one of those situations where I went into it. Okay, I know I'm going to hate it, but maybe it's going to be better than other games. The example I came up with, maybe this is going to be better than The Last of Us, and it probably is, simply by virtue of the girl being better, but the girl being more likable. But everything else, from the setting that makes no sense, to the combat, to the gameplay, to the difficulty, to the weird ass powers and the terrible puzzle solving, people seriously believing Bioshock is a smart game for smart gamers. Complete nonsense. I was shocked at how poor this game was. Just how lazy it was. From a design perspective, I played it for maybe 2 hours. I don't think I did anything other than walk around Columbia, look at stuff, and shoot people. That's it. That's Bioshock Infinite. You just go around and shoot people. There's no depth. There's no adventure. There's no sense of discovery. The big Elizabeth reveal. The game seriously tries building us up as some big thing, but she's just some girl in a tower, just some generic Disney girl. It just, Zelda does this better, Mario does this better, fucking Final Fantasy does this better, you know what I mean? That's the thing that really gets me about Infinite, in particular, coming back to it, coming into it for the first time after growing up, being exposed, not really growing up, but being exposed to the hype around it, right? The publicity, the attention it got, the praise, the hype from the game journalists. Now that I've come back to it years later, literally nothing I heard about this game when it first came out turned out to be true, right? People were pushing it in this narrative that had a really compelling story. It doesn't. People were pushing this narrative that has a really compelling political narrative. It doesn't. People were pushing Elizabeth as one of the best waifus ever in gaming ever. She isn't. You know what I mean? She's just generic at best. You know what I mean? It's I don't want to say she's bad, because she's really not. It's one of those situations, right? The rest of the industry is so terrible that any time that a company does something slightly off key, slightly different, like Bioshock Infinite did, they get heaps of praise and attention. And I do think that's the core of it when you get right down to it. Bioshock doesn't do the things that other companies are doing. I noticed this while I was playing it. I don't like the environment, I don't like the setting, but there's no denying it's somewhat different than the generic space station, the generic battlefield, the generic setting for every other game. There are actual colors, there are actual it feels like they actually develop personality, you know what I mean? They picked a specific time period. It's steampunkish. It has those skylines. It has these superpowers that you can just sort of drink for some reason. Nothing about Columbia makes any sense, but it tries to be different, you know what I mean? It tries to be its own original thing, but it fails, you know what I mean? It's like that guy who's trying to write the greatest story ever, legit trying to make something great, and just can't do it. I would know, that's basically me, but trying to write the greatest thing ever, but no, trying and failing, I should say. That's Bioshock Infinite, you know what I mean? It tries to make these statements about race, about society, about I don't know, I'm told it has some parallel universe stuff later on down the line. I'm not going to finish it. I'm going to tell you that right now. I am not going to finish Bioshock Infinite because it is a piece of shit and not worth playing. I am just so confused, legit confused at how much praise this has got, and it might be worth spending time going back and actually reviewing all these old blog posts from 2013 declaring this one of the greatest games of all time, because it really isn't. It might be interesting. I almost feel like it was on IGN's top 100 list for a while and then immediately dropped off. It just for a bunch of reasons. Most prominently, that the fact that it's not very good, but also because The Last of Us did the same exact thing later that year, and so got more, and was a Sony exclusive, so it got the PlayStation bonus and got a ton of attention from the corrupt gaming media and their partners at Sony. Bioshock Infinite was a failure. It's kind of interesting to say that, considering how well received it was and how well it sold. It sold something like 5 million units, something like that. It still didn't make its money back, and they supposedly aren't really interested in making a sequel. They might reboot it. They might like make it like a nostalgia thing, but it'll probably end up like, you know, it'll end up with the same result, I think, as a lot of these other reboots, where like the first one will do really, really well, and then it'll taper off once the nostalgia dies, which I think is inevitable. It's I'm not really sure what the future has in store for the Bioshock license, but it's. I mean, it's not going to be good. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be compelling or interesting. There's nothing about Bioshock that I thought really deserved the hyper attention it got to begin with. And for that brief period of time, from like 2007 to 2013, that period of 6 years, we sort of had to put up with these game journalists pushing this narrative that Bioshock was one of the most compelling action adventure games ever made, when it's not even really close. Not only is it not even really close, it's not even worth playing. I honestly kind of regret playing Bioshock. I regret spending time with it. I regret it a lot, and it's probably the IP more than any other that's made me hate the game journalism industry, because these people straight up lied to me for years in order to push this narrative that a video game was better than it actually is. That's incredibly frustrating to see this happen all the time, over and over and over and over again, from all these different outlets and organizations and companies. Like, I am just, it's obnoxious. You know what I mean? It's just plain obnoxious. And thankfully, I think we're past the point where Bioshock is considered relevant. Like, it's been re-released several times. People aren't really talking about it whenever these games get re-released. Like, they've been re-released like what, 2 or 3 times. Like, I saw a collection for PS3, the PS360. 1 and 2 were re-released on PS4 and Xbox One, and now we have the Bioshock collection on Switch. With no Bioshock sequel in sight. Like, it's I think the IP is basically dead in the water. Infinite kind of killed it, in spite of everything. But damn, is the game bad. I will not be missing this IP going forward.